Hey guys, Daniel Burnett, certified strength and conditioning specialist and owner of Train Like a Ranger. In today's weekly trainer talk, I want to talk about supplementation. So I get questions all the time about supplements and what they are, what they do. So that's what I wanted to cover today is a couple of popular supplements. And in particular, we're going to talk about creatine, we're going to talk about protein, branched chain amino acids. We're going to talk about pre-workout supplementation. We're going to talk about testosterone boosters, so pro hormones, and essentially in the same coin, we're going to talk about steroids. So that being said, let's start with creatine. So what most people don't know about creatine is that it is naturally made and stored in the body. So most of our creatine is stored in our muscle tissue, and this is relevant because what our muscles use is an energy source known as ATP. You've probably heard me say this before. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. You can dive into what that is, but just know it's the energy molecule that your muscles use. So there's ATP that's readily available in our muscles. Let's say we're doing something like lifting weights. So your body's going to use this ATP that's readily available. This lasts typically 2 seconds or less. And then your body's going to have to start kicking in different energy systems to make more ATP. And one of the secondary energy systems that your body uses is the creatine phosphagen system. So the creatine that's in your muscles, your body starts to use to produce more energy to keep going. So the creatine phosphagen system is especially relevant in anaerobic type activities, and this typically lasts for up to 10 seconds. Taking creatine makes it possible to use more energy within that 10-second time frame. So creatine is good for things like lifting, whether it be powerlifting or weightlifting. So strength and power. It's good for things like sprinting. So sprinting is mostly anaerobic, right? For short duration. So up to 10 seconds. And then things like, high intensity interval training. That energy source is good for that 10-second window. So that would be things that you take creatine for. It is mostly relevant in strongman and power type focuses. People commonly ask me, like, hey, if I'm trying to be a runner, should I take creatine? Would it help me? No, creatine's not really relevant for anything that is endurance related because, again, it is that energy system relevant for 10 seconds. Beyond that, and it's specific to like anaerobic type activities. So, if you're talking about a long distance run, creatine is pretty irrelevant as a supplement, but it would be good for things like weightlifting and power type goals. So that is why you would take creatine. Okay, next let's look at protein. So proteins pretty much comprise everything in our bodies, especially when it comes to muscle, bone, hair, nails, tissue like that. Protein is very prevalent. So whenever we take in protein, we are providing, the idea is mostly for muscle recovery. It's also used in mass gain. And in some cases, it's used as a meal replacement and it's used for weight loss. So protein is a good supplement to have, especially for recovery and muscle gain. But again, it can be used as a meal replacement for weight loss goals. Some people substitute their meals for protein. So a consideration for protein whenever you're introducing it to your diet is you want to look at the contents that are in it. So typically proteins are loaded down with sugar, fats, and other excess ingredients. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that supplement and accounting for the excess calories, you're accounting for the excess nutrients, and you make sure that you adjust your diet accordingly whenever you take things like protein. Next, let's look at branched chain amino acids. So speaking of proteins, amino acids are the subcomponents of proteins. So essentially what your cells do is they chain together different amino acids. There's 20 different amino acids, and they chain these together to make different types of proteins. So essentially amino acids are just the building blocks of proteins. Now, whenever we're looking at branched chain amino acids, there's 3 essential amino acids that we're looking at. It's leucine, isoleucine, and valine. So essential meaning that it needs to be ingested. whenever we're talking about non-essentials, which we'll come to this term again later, non-essentials are naturally made by your body. Whenever we're talking about essential, that means that you have to ingest it. So branched chain amino acids, these things can be, introduced by your diet and stuff like that. But, whenever you take the supplementation of BCAAs, right, you're promoting these essential amino acids, and they're good for recovery. They're good for essentially just muscle repair and in turn, muscle growth. So the more that your muscles can repair, the more that they can grow, the better that you're going to perform. So this goes with both the protein and the amino acids. Why amino acids are good over protein powder is that they're a more pure supplementation. So with protein powders, again, we're looking at that excess sugar, fats, calories, whereas most amino acid supplements, they are direct supplementation. So it's a good way to supplement and promote that muscle recovery without the added weight gain factors. So next, let's talk about pre-workouts and energy drinks. So these two kind of go hand in hand. Now, whenever we're talking about pre-workout supplements and energy drinks, there are common chemicals that are in them. So let me break down those subcomponents and talk about what they do and considerations for them. Caffeine. You've probably heard of caffeine. It is the most consumed psychoactive substance in the world. So caffeine is known to improve energy levels. It's known to improve alertness, in some cases mood, to include irritability in some. And so caffeine is a popular thing, right? Like a lot of people drink coffee. We drink coffee in the morning to help us wake up. We help drink it to help us get ready for the day. I'm a coffee drinker myself. But you should consider your caffeine intake, consider your dosage and things like that. So, looking at the FDA, what they recommend is less than 400 milligrams per day is safe in most adults. And they recommend typically less than 200 milligrams in a sitting. Now, this is probably going to conflict with most pre-workout and energy drinks. So a lot of pre-workouts especially, they're loaded with caffeine. So you want to look at the dosage that you're taking in and take into consideration that whenever you're ingesting that much caffeine in one given time, while it may be within the daily recommendation, it's not going to be within the one sitting recommendation. So if you're taking, I've seen pre-workouts up to 400 milligrams of caffeine. And some people like the 2 scoops of pre-workout, right? Don't recommend that. It's not going to have any added benefit to you. If you're looking at a drink that has, upwards of 300, 400 milligrams of caffeine, you may look at only drinking a portion of that drink. Caffeine is okay in moderation. Just take into consideration the dosage whenever you're drinking caffeinated beverages and supplements. So next, let's cover beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is an amino acid. It's a non-essential amino acid, meaning it's made in the body. But basically, the thought with ingesting beta-alanine is that it is going to, one of the benefits it has is improving carnosine deposits in the body. And what carnosine deposits do is it helps reduce lactic acid buildup. So this in turn, if you've heard me talk about lactic acid before, it's the stuff that makes you fatigue and get sore. So in turn, whenever you have carnosine deposits in the body and it's helping reduce that lactic acid, you're going to promote recovery and you're also going to have less fatigue. Overall, looking at pre-workout supplementation and energy drinks and caffeinated beverages, these are known to improve mood and alertness and performance, but also consider that it has a direct role on heart rate and blood pressure. Make sure that you consult with a doctor before taking pre-workout and energy drinks, and make sure that caffeine intake is right for you. So on our last stop today, we're going to talk about pro-hormones, i.e. testosterone boosters, and kind of in the same category, we're going to talk about introducing hormones. So steroids can be clumped into this. Now, a lot of people take testosterone boosters as a way to boost their anabolic metabolism. So you've probably heard the term anabolism, anabolic steroids, right? What anabolic is it's the build-up process of your metabolism. So whenever you're promoting anabolism, you're promoting all the processes that create buildup in your body. So, whenever people take uh, steroids and things like that, we know that they increase bone density and muscle mass among other things. So, you know, uh, that does improve performance. But whenever we're taking things like hormones, we're taking things like testosterone boosters, especially if we don't need it. At all times, your body is trying to maintain what's known as homeostasis, which is a chemical balance within your body. So, if you're already making the levels that you need for testosterone, so let's look specifically at testosterone, right? So, if you're introducing testosterone boosters into your body, you're creating excess testosterone. What this tells your body to do in a way to maintain homeostasis is your body's going to say, hey, we need to produce less testosterone naturally because we have so much in our system. So your body's going to stop naturally making testosterone. So whenever you're ingesting these supplements, whenever you don't need to, you're ingesting these hormones when you don't need to, you are telling your body to essentially stop making it. So this can cause a bunch of issues. Superficially, we're looking at things like acne, hair loss, in men, typically seen with steroids, enlarged breast tissue, right? Gynecomastia is the medical term for it. I just covered internally. So whenever we're looking at homeostasis in the body, your brain may tell your body to stop making that hormone for an extended period of time or maybe forever. And then you're forever dependent on ingesting that outside hormone. So, whenever we're talking about hormones, this is more serious stuff. This is something that I would really highly recommend you guys talking to a doctor about and not playing around with. So make sure you take all directives from a doctor whenever it comes to introducing things like hormones. All right, guys. So in summary, supplements can be a great way to enhance your motivation to go work out. It can improve muscle recovery. It can improve muscle gains and performance. But supplement use should always be secondary to a healthy diet. So make sure you're eating a healthy diet and getting proper hydration. Also, make sure you research your supplements, make sure they are healthy and right for you, and consult with a doctor before starting any new supplements. Also, make sure you're taking the recommended dosage for these supplements. More does not mean more better. And also make sure that you are verifying that dosage, again, with a medical professional. So, again, thanks for tuning in. Hope that clarifies supplement use, its pros, and its considerations. Check out trainlikearanger.com for all your workout and nutrition needs. We have workout programs. We have nutrition programs. We also have merch and apparel and much more on the agenda. So be sure to check us out at trainlikearanger.com. Remember to train to your utmost potential like a ranger.